So thank you, everyone, for coming to today's Design Review Board meeting of May 3rd. If we could first start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll first start with attendance.
So noted.
Perfect. And is there any public comment from anyone who's not one of the applicants that wants to come up and talk? Okay, we'll close public comment. Next, we have signs. So we'll start with minutes. Oh, sorry. Approval of the minutes. We've all had a chance to look them over. Moved by Clerk Brooks, support by Treasurer Keeps. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That does pass. Next, we have signs. Thank you for catching that. So we have Smoky Cigar Lounge at 42919 Woodward Avenue. And then if the applicant wants to come up, we'll start with Wade, and then you can come on up after.
Thank you. We have a request from Smokies to recreate their existing sign along the Woodward frontage within the B3 zone district. You can see they are at the shopping centers at the south west corner of the intersection of Woodward Avenue and East Square Lake Road. And the existing sign that you see today looks like this on the screen, Smoky Cigars. One of the reasons that they are coming forward to request the change in sign is that they now occupy both storefronts, so their internal footprint has expanded. And the request before you today is to change their sign to Smoky's Cigar Lounge. As you see here, you see it's centered over the main entrance to the door, whereas before when they occupied just one side, they had the sign lined up more to the eastern or the left-hand side of that facade. So the leasable square footage of this facade would indicate that a sign of 51.3 square feet would be permitted. And the request here falls right in line with that. It is a 51 square foot sign. So they are compliant with the square footage in the B3. They are channel letters on the existing storefront raceways for the sign, and the channel letters are front lit as well as a slight halo behind the sign as well. There is a projection of 9 inches from the wall of the facade for the sign. And here are the dimensions. It's a 24-inch by 306-inch sign, which equates to the 51 square feet.
Great. Do you want to come on up? Just introduce yourself and the project.
Cal Mansour with Sign Emporium, here to represent Smoky's Lounge. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he took all the luster out of it. I can answer any questions. I don't know what else to say.
Anybody have any questions?
I have no questions either.
If not, I'd look for a motion.
I move to, it doesn't need to go anywhere else besides here, does it? So move to approve as presented.
Support.
And we have a motion by Clerk Brooks, support by Treasurer Keeps. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Take care.
Great.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have some facade improvements for Superior National Bank at 2500 West Maple Road. And again, if you want to come on up after Wade.
So this location is at the northwest corner of Cranbrook Road and West Maple. It is in the O1 office zone district. This is an existing building. Prior use has been a bank use. Citizens Bank was there at one time. Not sure if that was the most recent bank or not, but Superior National Bank is looking to come to the community and occupy this building. They have appeared before the Bloomfield Village Association, and that has received favorable approval from them. The changes. Here's just the survey of the existing site. Nothing on the site itself is changing with regard to parking or screen walls or anything like that. We do have a signage change, of course, which I'll get to here in a minute. But the other items are strictly facade changes. And I have the landscape plan here. I provided you a larger copy on your at the dais so you can see it a little bit better. And we'll get to that also here in just a few minutes as well. But I want to start, we also have floor plans. Superior National Bank is the only proposed tenant for the building, and they're doing internal modifications to fit their floor plan as well. The building itself is not expanding in terms of square footage, just interior remodels are happening. To zoom out here just a little bit. I want to start with the south elevation is what you can see at the top of the screen. That is the elevation that faces Maple. Sort of the building is catty corner on that lot facing the intersection, but the primary facade that you will see is this Maple facade. And you can see existing today what the building looks like, and I have real-time pictures here we'll see in a second. But the proposed changes is all of these windows are being refitted with windows that have mullions in them. There are some, well, this is the former ATM right here, which is going to be fit back for a window, so there'll be windows there as well. The door surround, we have a color change there that will go to a bronze or copper color. And there will be some lighting packs on the ground between the windows that will provide some uplighting of the building itself. Again, the east elevation here, what's changing here is this window again is being fit with new windows with the mullion design. And here's the existing facade today. You can see the windows all will be mullion windows now. This color here will get darker in terms of it'll be a bronze color. And again, the roof is in good shape, is not proposed to change. The cupola is not proposed to change here. And you can see in the, again, that's the front and east side elevations. And here's what the final product will be with regard to the building. You can see the windows are all refit and have mullion style. The darker door framing will be the bronze type color. And so that's what the proposal for the primary elevation of this building will be. And here is the night view. You can see in this elevation the lighting that's occurring between the windows here. Moving on, here is that east elevation as it exists today. And here is the proposed change, again, the window being the primary change. We move on to the north elevation, or the back side of the building, if you will. You can see the existing conditions today. Again, take note of how the windows look. There will be a new ATM installation back here in the back, and there will be some brick repointing, fill-in of some of these openings that are no longer of use to Superior National Bank. And here we are with the actual changes. You can see the windows are changing with the mullions again. Here's the new ATM that will be inserted into this location. and some of the brick in this area will be fixed to have a flush elevation with the windows. And the west elevation, when it's completed, again mirrors the east elevation in terms of the window is the same with the mullions. So we have the west elevation as it stands today. This dish will be removed, and then the window will change to the mullion design. And the gutters and eaves are all proposed to remain in the same location as they are now. And here we have the brick sample that will be used to fill in those areas and openings that are no longer needed for Superior Bank. I do have the lighting fixture specifications here. They are proposed as in a bronze color to blend nicely with the building. They will be screened with landscaping, as they are going to be at the ground level with uplighting. We do have the addition of a few wall packs along that rear side of the elevation for security and for the illumination of the doorways. There is a trash room on that side of that elevation that'll have some lighting just for the safety of the employees at that location. So we have the specification of colors for the exterior window colors. We have the door color right here, which actually I believe is that's called putty in terms of color. And then moving on, we have a few pebble benches that will align the front entrance, and those are proposed to be the ground and polished white color. And I can show you the location of those in the landscape plan. I move back up to the front. So the proposed pebble shape, or pebble seating, are the white, sort of oblong, irregular shaped benches that are right outside the front door walkway in this location. So moving on to the requested signage changes, being as this is the O1 zone district, they are permitted 32 square foot ground sign in addition to a 10 square foot wall sign. And the applicant is proposing in the same location as the prior bank signs to provide a low profile Superior National Bank ground sign. It is 4 feet in height and 8 foot long, so that's 32 square feet. And then again, you can see the night view versus daytime view. And then right outside the main entrance is a wall sign, Superior National Bank, as well. That sign is 7.9 square feet, so under the 10 square feet allowed. And again, here are some examples of the rock benches that you can see. And now I want to talk a little bit about the landscaping. One of the proposals you can see is at the top of the screen here is this additional planting, landscaping that sits behind the existing wall this sort of curved line is an existing screen wall between that and the next property. The village actually owns this property. So part of the discussions the applicant has had with the village is actually planting this as an additional buffer between the two properties. And the Superior National Bank is willing to do that. And they are going back to the village association to get final approvals for all of that upon recommendation from the Design Review Board. The landscape plan around the building and around the ground sign will be a mixture of the species you see on the right side of the screen, some ornamental grasses, lilies, small hedge type plants, boxwoods, and so forth, which you can hopefully see a little bit better in the blow-up that I provided you on your dais. So overall, that is the proposed improvements to both the building as well as the signage and landscaping. And we do have Ruth Kerrigan from Superior National Bank here, as well as David Barsis of Niagara Murano that can answer any questions you might have as well.
Come on up. Do you want to come, just introduce yourself and...
I'm Ruth Kerrigan, and I am from Superior National Bank. Just real briefly about the bank. The Superior was formed in the Upper Peninsula, the Keweenaw Peninsula, over 100 years ago, served the mining community up there. Had been very successful, and they wanted to expand their footprint into Southeast Michigan. They purchased Main Street Bank, which was on Telegraph Road in Bingham, several years ago. So we're kind of merged together. And I'm actually from the Legacy Main Street Bank Group. I'm a Bloomfield resident. I send you my water bill every month.
Thank you.
I thought you'd appreciate that. And again, we really want to have a presence in the community. I think the location is wonderful for us. And we distinguish ourselves as being really a community bank as opposed to our neighbors. We want to be a participant and a supporter of the village and the township. And we hope our design complements that goal.
Thank you.
And our architect, Dave Barsis.
Hi, everyone. Ruth came to us and she said that she had a deadline and she had this wonderful bank and she wanted to be part of the community. What can we do? And so the first thing we did is we came down and talked with Wade and Kathy Weisenborn and the fire marshal and building officials and wanted to know what their hot buttons were that we needed to address. And so they've been very accessible and very helpful. So we couldn't have done this without their guidance and direction. And it just so happened to be that it fit exactly with what Superior National wanted to do as part of the community. And it's a very traditional looking bank on the exterior. On the inside, it's going to be a living room for the community to come in and a very enjoyable place to do business. So really excited about this, working with your team and your community, and just would love to answer any questions you might have.
So did they tell you about quirks about us? No. We're sometimes the hardest ones up here, so no. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Did a beautiful job, and glad you're in Bloomfield. They decided to move up off from Bingham to Bloomfield. In terms of 01, Wade, what is the requirement in terms of a trash area?
There is none, since it is internal right now, there's
Okay.
not proposed to be any additional outside trash receptacle.
Okay, and there's no plans for that? is,
Dumpster or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a sort of a garbage.
thank you, I meant a dumpster enclosure, so.
There's a garbage closet, I'll call it, in the back of the building that will coordinate with the garbage company and hopefully not have a lot of garbage.
And in terms of the ATM going from the front to the back of the location, is that a drive-up or is it a walk-up?
It's a single lane drive-up,
Okay,
so that the ATM and the drive-through are in the same
Right.
lane. We don't have a second lane. We have a bypass lane, but we don't
Okay.
have a second lane. So, and we do believe there's enough room for the ATM person to pull out if the drive-through is still there and get around. And it's sort of one way in that direction, so I think the safety is there.
and from a security standpoint, in terms of lighting, I presume you're comfortable with all that, I just want to kind of bring it up.
There's existing pole lighting. Is it Brian?
Yes.
Yeah, there's existing pole lighting over there that we intend to maintain, along with the additional building illumination, which was one of the reasons why we did it, is when there's light, it just looks safer, and people gravitate towards safe areas that are lit at night. So that psychologically, we wanted to add to that.
And that lighting in the back is going to be all, as long as it's dark, it's going to be on?
It'll be on a sensor, a daylight sensor.
So all evening, okay. And I don't know what it was like before, and I know you're planting vegetation. I'm just kind of thinking about the neighbors behind. And I know it's a ways, and it's the back of the house. And I don't know, was that raised with the village at all?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, we have talked about that, and Mrs. Hess lives in the home that's north of our building.
Okay.
We chatted with her daughter, and I talked about lighting, because we do want, when people pull up, we need a light to turn on and off, but I want to make sure that it's not obnoxious and shining in her house all the time. And she mentioned that she actually likes to have a lot of light back there, that it makes her feel
Okay.
safer. That being said, we're making sure that it's down lighting,
Good.
it's not pointed into somebody's window, and that it's discreet. It's not like laser beams shining all over the place. We want to be respectful that this is a residential community.
All right, well, thank you. And again, I'm sure from every aspect of your bank, you'll do very well there. So I'm glad that you're there. Looks a very nice design.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love the symmetry. I love that you're matching all the windows, and that you're taking that time to really make it look like it was originally built that way.
It's
Looks
a
wonderful.
lovely building, and it's a little sentimental for me, because my first checking account, or first savings account, I opened up in that bank when it was Standard Federal. So,
Oh, wow.
it was kind of a surprise to be back there.
That's nice. I like that. I also do like that you made it a drive-through, because there are certain, with the bank that I belong to, I won't go to certain branches if it's a walk-up, because I just don't feel safe with the walk-up. So I like that in addition to lighting, you created a drive-through ATM. That just seems safer.
I think at the end of the day, if, people want to go to the ATM because it's quick and they don't want to get out of their car. If we were more of a college community or right downtown where people are actually walking, a walk-up
Yeah.
drive-through or ATM might make sense, but people don't want to get out of their cars, so.
It just doesn't feel as safe as when you're doing that. And then I do like that you're promising blue skies on all of it, because that is a definite, no, it looks really great. I like what you've done. Martin, do you have any questions, comments?
Well, one, to compliment you on this, it's a beautiful looking building. It's very very village. So your bullions are right on, and it looks wonderful. I like also because I've spoken with Kathy before about the property that's next to the building on the other side. So that addition is very helpful. I'm sure it makes them very happy. That little segment of property over there can really use this improvement, so thanks for doing that. One question I have is with regard to the condition of the pole lighting. The building itself currently looks like it's kind of in some disrepair. How are the lighting? Is that fine, or are you working on improving the physical function of these lights, or the painting of them, or they already look pretty good?
The pole lights?
Yeah, the
in
pole lights
back?
outside.
The pole lights, we want to relamp them so that they're current. And they're fairly good condition. You know, I don't think we need to replace them at this point, and they are a newer style that does throw the light straight down for the most part, and you can't see the light source too much. There's a nice cutoff to it. So, Martin, I think we're going to pretty much stay with those if that's okay.
Yeah, I just was confirming because so much of the other work you're doing, I didn't want to leave something out. But it sounds like you looked at it, you thought about it, it fits in with your overall, aesthetic design, so that's good. And the lighting issue, Brian already explored with you, so.
No, lighting is so key, and we're using it as an advantage. You know, we have a good competition on the other two corners. We want them to look at our property more so than the others when you're doing 35 down Maple Road. So,
Or more.
we don't have the columns and all that kind of stuff like the other banks do.
Yeah.
So we've got to find, be creative.
Great, looks wonderful.
And Wade, what's the process now? Is there any additional bodies that need approval, or is this it?
No, this would be it. They could proceed to the building permit phase for their, improvements.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve as submitted, and I guess contingent upon the additional support of the village.
Motion
Second.
by Treasurer Keeps, second by Clerk Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass. Welcome to welcome back to the community as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sending my water bill in.
It's good. It's a good idea.
Mine's the big one.
I'm glad to hear about the connection with Superior and Lake Superior and the UP. That's nice.
I like that. That was your first bank that you had one at. That's a nice hometown touch, too.
Well, there's a lot to work with, a wonderful neighborhood, but I think all of Michigan is an exciting place to be, so thank you.
Thanks.
I've been in the Quincy mine in Keweenaw, so all the way down.
Yeah, that's where Volt is, so.
Exactly.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you. So next we'll go on to site improvements. We have Detroit Country Day School at 3003 West Maple.
Hi, I'm Scott Stanley from Detroit Country Day.
Hi, Scott.
So we do have a request for some additional fencing at the school. You can see on the site plan here, we have an existing playground in this area here that they are seeking approval for a 5-foot black aluminum fence to secure the playground area. We have talked that, and they are aware that this would require a zoning board of appeals variance for the height, as it's 5 feet and 4 feet is the code requirement. There are some other 4-foot tall fences proposed along the walkway at their property boundary leading out to Westbourne. Westbourne would be over here, the street, and there's a walkway that leads up to the school here. They're looking for a gate here that would be locked during school operating hours, typically from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., the days that school is in session, but would be unlocked at other times when school is not in session. This location towards the bottom of the screen is the existing detention pond, and for safety purposes, and there is a chain link fence in this area, and I have pictures we'll see here in a minute, but they're looking to close off this area by installing 4-foot chain link fence between the existing detention pond fence and the building, as well as the existing fence and the fence on the property line over here, so that this area of the property would not be accessible to students or anyone else coming in from the other side. And then additionally, they have asked for a 4-foot tall chain link sliding gate at this entrance here, would remove 1 parking space. Maple Road being the top of the screen, so at their entrance here. There are some bollards there now in the general location where the fence would be located. But in all, this is the schematic of their site showing the location of the fences that are being proposed. I do have the specifications. This would be the sliding chain link at the entrance that we just talked about. That's 4 feet tall with the gate. And then we have specifications on the gate at the walkway at the corner of the property and the gates at the detention area, as well as the fence along the detention area, and fence and gates along the playground. This is an example of the 4-foot tall chain link that will be located in the detention pond area, the back of the building and south property line. Here's a picture of that area. The school building itself is on the left, and here is the existing detention pond fencing right there. So they would come in and provide the fence across here for increased security. This is looking at the side. There is a gap over here between the existing detention pond fencing and the property line fence, so it would just provide a connection to provide security in that area as well. Again, just another picture of the detention area. Yes, quite a few of those. Here's an example of the 5-foot tall aluminum fence, black, that would be placed around the playground and at the walkway to Westbourne. Pictures of the playground that would be fenced right in here, or it would actually run up by the sidewalk and close in this area here. And this is looking from Westbourne Drive up into the school. You can see the cones here. That is where the gate would be at the corner of the property. There are some existing bollards in this area. Here's the cones again. There's bollards here and fencing here, which would all provide the connection points for this new gate and fence. A better picture of the bollards and fencing that is already there. So I'll go back to the overall schematic of the site. Is there any questions you all may have?
I'll start first if you want to introduce yourself again. Sam, did you say?
No, my name's Scott Staley.
Scott, sorry.
Yep. And I'm the Director of Campus Operations for Country Day.
Is there anything you want to add to the presentation?
No, I mean, what we're looking for in light of all the shootings and that kind of thing, we took another look at our school. We do it every so often. We've had Homeland Security come in and assess our campus. And we took a look at it again after the Covenant shooting down in Tennessee. And so what we're trying to do is a couple things with especially around the playground. One is there's that driveway right there. We want to make sure that the kids can't get out into the drive, say chasing a ball or whatever. And we're also trying to provide a deterrent from anybody who wants to get into the playground area when we do have school in session. So that's the point of that fencing around the playground. The other two little 4-foot tall things connecting to the detention pond. The upper one is designed to keep anybody from trying to get behind the school and get to the east playground and the east play area. The one that's connected at the bottom there is designed to keep our children from getting behind the detention pond where we can't see them. So we're just trying to improve the safety of the kids with all these. Again, that 4-foot tall sliding gate that we're asking for at the top is just to provide a means to make sure that we don't have unwanted cars going back there during the school day. And as Wade mentioned, this is primarily for 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays. I have talked with our homeowners association. We typically host their Easter egg hunt and a couple other events during the year, their homeowners meetings and things like that. And we've made it real clear, no, when they're coming in, those gates will be open for them to use it. It's just when we have our programs in session that we'll be, securing it.
And I did clarify with Scott yesterday, for fire and emergency access, there are still Knox box locations at the front entrance as well as around the other side in the back. So none of these fences would prohibit access of emergency vehicles to the building.
So we have redundant Knox boxes in two different spots. The one is outside the gate so that they don't even have to get past the gate to get to it. If for some reason they can't get to it, then there's the box in the back that all has the same information, keys, access fobs, and additionally now the patrol cars in the township are now carrying our access fobs as well, so they can get in without even stopping at the Knox box if they want or if they have to.
Are for the fences that are already up, are they screened, or do we, it didn't look like there was screening on any of this chain link. Is there a reason why we didn't do screening?
Is there a conversation with screening around the fencing?
No, that's just all, they've been there, they preceded me, so.
Okay.
Is there on the gate at the bottom to the neighborhood, is that an easement, or what is that? The walkway?
Yeah, that walkway has always been there since I've been there. At one point when I arrived in '99, at that point there was like a gate there, and we have since pulled the gate off, and now we're just looking to put the gate back up.
And it is actually part of their property itself, because their property goes all the way down to Westbourne here. So
Oh, is that right? Okay.
that's actually all.
Doesn't mean it's not an easement. But I guess to your point, though, you did talk with the homeowner association. You do have their approval.
Right, their architectural control
okay.
committee.
I just think for the record, we should include that in our minutes here. And I guess any motion, I would suggest that be included in that, just so there aren't any future issues. My concern, I guess, is more, and I get all of the security and support that, and quite frankly, I think none of the fencing really can be seen other than the sliding gate. And I guess my thought is, understanding the security of it, I just think that, quite frankly, in keeping with the school, that something nicer could be put there. It just looks extremely utilitarian, and the building looks so nice, and the property looks so nice. Something really, I guess, in keeping with the rest of the quality, because that, again, that's kind of.
Okay, and we can revisit that and talk to the fence
Normally we
company and see.
cover up chain link so people don't know chain link's being used with screening. That's why I was wondering why this school didn't have the standard screening in front of chain link.
We can talk with our fence company and see if we could go with maybe the aluminum like we're using on the back gate. Would that be?
It would clearly be nicer than what that looks like, but there's a lot of different options. And again, I mean, that I think is really the only fence that you're adding that would be seen from Maple.
Right.
And it's just such a nice job that the whole facility looks like that I just think would really stick out.
Okay, no, we can definitely do that.
So next to the drive that's on the left-hand side of the screen here, is there any vegetation or screening on the other side of the driveway, between the houses and the driveway?
Doesn't look like they're screening anything.
I couldn't see any, so there's.
No, it looked like you could see houses straight through,
Yeah.
just chain link.
Yeah, there's some on the actual homeowner's property.
Color black. Like you can see straight through to these houses.
Yeah, I was thinking about where the new fence is going, though.
Oh, okay.
That's the walkway into the back.
I do have.
different viewpoint.
Here is the drive aisle and the parking spaces and the view to the backyards of the,
Oh, man.
So
So
it's-
it looks like the homeowners there have their own chain link fences. Right, is that what I'm seeing?
No, this is the chain link goes around the school.
Yeah.
No, this is,
Schools.
this is, for some reason, the school didn't,
What chain link fence is that?
that's the schools.
do we know, like, was there a reason that they didn't have to?
That's the, what, this
screen
picture's
that?
where?
Yeah, like we've pointed out other times when something maybe wasn't,
Oh,
we're going back
there's
to
already
other
fence.
schools or other religious
Correct.
areas
School
saying,
fence
hey,
up
you
there.
were supposed to
Correct.
plant this, was there supposed to be
Well, if you
plants there?
remember, this was an existing school that has been, augmented over the years, and the most recent was the big addition. So it's been more additions and improvements as opposed to new construction. So some of this fencing has been there for a very long time, which you can tell. And then obviously with the security for the detention basin, there has to be
Having
a
people-
chain link fence. So that's the
Like,
rationale for
something
that.
more established as long as that,
It's more recent compared to, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And then with vegetation, whether it's being maintained or being added to, by the adjacent neighbors, there's been, some, I'm sure landscape improvements over the years as well.
I just want to make sure we're not overstepping on others if we're requiring sometimes other people who aren't coming to us for landscaping, and we have required them to include landscaping. I just want to make sure we're not treating people differently, because
Well, it's a
this
little
is
different
some...
when you're applying to a ZBA, because then
No,
you're
I mean
seeking a-
here, we have required landscaping when people
On
come for
occasion?
signs or something.
On occasion,
there was,
depending on the view, and you're very specific
So
as
make
to
sure
where.
There was one in
and-
Square Lake just recently on
Yeah.
that very school
Yeah.
with a
Right.
fence.
There was a bank that the place next to them, we wanted it cleaned up, and I just want to make sure that we're
Yeah.
treating everyone the same, so.
As specific to their site.
Okay.
It's not uniform, because in some instances, it's really not necessary, to screen, depending on what the circumstances are.
So the school on Square Lake, the fence was visible, actually right on Square Lake. You could see it from Square Lake. This is the back of the property. It's not visible as
No, screening
Treasurer
between,
Keefe said,
screening
it's
for
at the back.
the residents,
well, right, but
not the, not
that's why I was
the
asking
street.
if there was any vegetation on the other side of that driveway as a screen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the vegetation you see there is primarily on the homeowner's
yeah.
side.
Yeah,
Trying to
and maybe
block their
there
view
could
of
be
the chain link.
vegetation put on the other side of that driveway that would screen the fence from the homeowners.
And I'm okay with if we're not going to, but I just want to make sure that we treat everybody the same, and if someone else came forward, we wouldn't require landscaping be done when they're not coming for us with that area. I just
And
want to
again,
make sure.
specific to the application, because the 5-foot fence is not immediately adjacent to the residence. It's actually on the other side of the drive, other side of the parking lot. Fence. And I'm assuming that there is not an interest to screen the fencing so that you can have visibility of the children,
Right.
within the playground area. So there, that's what I'm suggesting, that there really should be looked at on a case-by-case basis. And I think we are being consistent in that fashion. But yet if the board wants the school to plant evergreens along that westerly property line, that would be a little, that would be beyond, what they were proposing, but that would be something you could discuss.
I'm not required on here, I just want to make sure that if it comes up again, we acknowledge that we didn't do it here, so it isn't something standard that we would do going forward anywhere else.
We don't want to speak to the standard, it's more
Yeah.
the application, yep.
Yep. That was my only
I
question.
don't know. So
Anybody
there
have
is
any other
an
questions?
existing fence that's on the other side of that drive, and that's the one we can see here. It almost looks like it's abandoned.
Here.
And that's part of the Country Days property there, the abandoned fence. And how far does that abandoned fence go? All the way down the driveway?
Right, all the way down, and
All the way
then
down.
connects at that bottom where we're going to put that gate in.
Ah, gotcha.
So that was probably when it was, the public school,
Yeah, the Birmingham School.
Birmingham School District. I mean, so that fence has been here for a long time.
It looks like it.
And probably residents have come and gone, and landscaping has come and gone, along that edge area.
Anybody have any other questions?
So this is required then to go to the ZBA
The 5-foot fence around the playground would be yes.
and the gate?
And
I mean, the sliding
Yes.
gate, okay. And then there's no further requirements, there's no further approvals that would be needed beyond that?
Nope, no.
What do you suggest we do with the sliding gate in terms of approvals? I'd rather not have them have to come back here, but maybe administrative review in terms
Be happy to
of,
do that, and even with their design, upon submission, and we could run the design by you,
okay.
and this identified at a following design review board meeting.
And I guess I would add, and even like looking at the gate that they have shown here as an example, it would be nice, quite frankly, if you go, well, like that one, to have landscaping on the northerly side of the fence, so it might take up another parking spot, to at least, when it's open, have or at least have a good portion of it screened, so you're not looking at an entire fence along the whole way there. You understand what?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody prepared to make a motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve as revised with the sliding gate, with a product upgrade subject to administrative approval, with the, I guess, both sides outside of the drive lane to be landscaped and screened, to match existing landscaping, I'll say, and that the homeowners, that it be on record that the homeowners association has approved and contingent upon their approval for the closing of that gate during school hours and operations. Anything else that we talked about?
I think that covers
And I guess to be forwarded to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
motion.
If I could speak, I would encourage that when they make zoning board of appeals application, at that time, they present the landscape.
Everything be done.
And the
Yes.
design.
Yes.
Great. So motion by Treasurer Keeps.
And just one comment before based on the fact that this is not facing Maple Road, it can only be seen by the homeowners. The homeowners association has agreed with the fence proposal. I will second that motion.
Second by Clerk Brooke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That does pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One question, how do I submit the upgraded design?
That'll be great.
You can just,
Yeah.
yep.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Thank you.
keeping the kids safe. All right, so next we have general business. Do we have any other previous approvals to go over?
We do not.
Then our next meeting will be Wednesday, May 17th, and I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourned.
Support.
By Clerk Brooks, support by Treasurer Keeps. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. We'll see you in a couple weeks.